Gordon Campbell says tonight he is not going to punish a member of his own cabinet for breaking ranks and criticizing him in public. Energy Minister Bill Bennett took a shot at the Premier for failing to consult with his own MLAs before yesterday's big cabinet shuffle. Bennett lost part of his own portfolio, and he says that it could have been handled in a smarter way. This is just the kind of thing that got a New Democrat bounced out of that party's caucus, so why isn't the Premier firing back? Our legislature reporter Shachi Curl has the story.
All Gordon Campbell needed was a day, just one day, where the questions weren't going to be about his leadership, his performance, or his popularity. But today wasn't going to be it. Fewer than 24 hours after shaking up his cabinet in an effort to shake off the negativity surrounding his premiership, Campbell was under fire again, this time from inside his inner circle, Energy Minister Bill Bennett.
It is an odd way of doing things. The difference between doing things to people and with people.
Bennett's biggest beef? While Campbell was touting big changes to BC's resource sector yesterday, he says the Premier hadn't asked or consulted him about any of it.
I wasn't involved in the discussions, and it's my understanding that no other ministers, no other elected people were involved.
Bennett was once bounced from cabinet after sending a profanity-laced email to a constituent. This time, the language was clean, but the message was just as blunt.
It's a pattern, and, you know, what are we at in the polls right now? We ought to be involving every last one of our elected people in major decisions, because you always make smarter decisions when everybody's involved.
Bennett was behind closed doors and not doing interviews today, but his statements made to the Vancouver Sun are reverberating throughout the legislature. That's because it's the first time since former Energy Minister Blair Leckstrom quit the cabinet and the party in June that anyone's spoken publicly against the Liberal leader. But Campbell won't be punishing Bennett.
I understand that there's always challenges with change, and I think it's important for people to be able to discuss that and air that.
Do you think your moves were smart? I mean, this is a long-time cabinet minister of yours.
I think the moves were brilliant, actually. I think they're exactly the right. I'm joking. I think they're exactly the right thing for us to be doing.
Campbell's decision to do nothing stands in contrast to NDP Leader Carole James, who bounced MLA Bob Simpson from her caucus earlier this month for saying far less. Politically, though, Gordon Campbell may not have had any other choice. Known for ruling his caucus and his cabinet with an iron fist for the better part of a decade, punishing Bill Bennett would have only kept this story going at a time when he desperately needs to talk about something else.
You asked me if it was distracting. It's not distracting me.
If that's true, the Premier's got to be in the minority.
Shachi joins us now with more. Shachi, the Premier told you in the 9-1 today that he's not distracted by what's happening, but how significant are Bill Bennett's comments?
Well, let's put it this way, Hudson. In a decade as Premier, Campbell has only faced open defiance from his caucus twice. The first time, as we mentioned, back in June when Blair Leckstrom blasted the Premier over the HST and then walked away from the party. He was done. The second time was today, so yes, this is a big deal. Now, the Premier is doing his best to smooth this over, but goodness only knows what the conversations have been like behind closed doors, probably some very interesting ones today. This is certainly not the story that Campbell would have wanted to be dealing with the day before he goes on TV to sell the province on the HST once again. Now, speaking of the harmonized sales tax, it looks like the specific referendum question about the tax, do you support it, do you not support it, the wording could be made public as soon as November 15th, and that's a development, Hudson, that's going to be crucial to both sides of the campaign.
All right, we'll watch for that and watch to see what the Premier says tomorrow night. Shachi, thank you.
You're welcome.